Hello, thanks for sticking with. We have a couple more examples, and then I'm going to show you how to do all of this on your calculator. So for number 19, if your denominator is more than one term, you notice it's subtracted here, so we have two separate parts. We are going to have to multiply by the conjugate. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the same numbers, 1 and 2i, but the minus sign is going to become a plus sign. That is the conjugate. So it's the same thing with the opposite sign in the middle. After we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to distribute our numerator. So it's going to become 4 plus 8i. We're also going to distribute our denominator. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2i is 2i. Negative 2i times 1 is negative 2i. And then negative 2i times 2i is negative 4i squared. So we distribute. Now what we do is we look to combine like terms and simplify things. So the 2i and the negative 2i in the denominator cancel each other out. And we have this I squared. We have to deal with that I squared. I to any power we can simplify, so we have negative 1 there. So our numerator then is going to stay 4 plus 8i. Our denominator becomes 1 plus 4 when I end up multiplying those. So we get 4 plus 8i divided by 5. So I'm going to rewrite that, breaking it up. So it's actually going to be 4 over 5 plus 8i over 5. So we're going to do one more here, number 20. We are going to get rid of the imaginary part in the denominator. I notice I have the square root of negative 4. I'm going to go ahead and simplify. The square root of negative 4 is going to become 2i. Then I notice I have that imaginary part again in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything by I. My numerator becomes negative I plus 2i squared. When I distribute, my denominator becomes 3i squared. Everywhere I see an I squared, I have to change that to a negative 1 and simplify. This becomes negative I minus 2 over negative 3. I'm going to rewrite this in a plus bi form, meaning I'm going to switch the top and put the real part first and the imaginary part second. And I'm going to then reduce each of these fractions where possible. So this is going to become a positive 2/3 plus a 1/3 I, or I over 3. Now, this is really messy when you're looking at simplifying complex numbers like this. But I do have some good news for you. So I'm going to put OneNote off to the side, and I'm going to show you on the graphing calculator how we can do these problems. I'm going to even go back up to adding and subtracting. On your graphing calculator, there is an imaginary number right here above the decimal point. So what we can do is we can actually type these in our graphing calculator and get the answer. If you have a graphing calculator, honestly, it's good enough for me, just you typing them in and showing me that you are understanding how to use your calculator in that way. So we're going to do 4 minus I. I'm going to keep it in parentheses. Let's see. Oh, let's try that again. My calculator froze. So I'm going to do 4 minus I. So to get to the I have to hit second and then the decimal point, and then plus 3 plus 2i. And you should see it coming up on your screen, and over here you can see it as well. It should pop up exactly what the problem says, and when you hit enter, it's going to simplify it for you and turn it into your final answer, the real part first and then the complex part second. Let's take a look at number 16. It's also going to simplify ones like this. So if we do 2 plus 3i, keep your parentheses around those, times negative 6 minus 2i, and hit enter, your calculator will do all of that for you. It also will do problems like number 17. So let's try that. 2i inside of the parentheses squared times 5i. And we end up with negative 20i. And here's the wonderful part for your fractions. It is also going to do these. Let's take a look at 18. Here's the thing. You have to keep parentheses around your numerator. So 5 plus I has to be in parentheses, but you also have to have parentheses around your denominator. So you need a lot of parentheses when dividing. Parentheses around the numerator, parentheses around the denominator. You'll get this. It is in fraction form. If you hit math, frac, it will actually turn it back into your, it was in decimal form, now it's in fraction form. 20 is interesting. Let's take a look at 20. So if we typed in the original problem, negative 1 plus the square root of negative 4, and we closed our parentheses and divided by 3i, our calculator is going to do something very interesting here. Let's make sure this says I. There we go. It's going to say you don't have a real answer. So your calculator still cannot deal with square roots of negatives, but if we were to, instead of write the square root of negative 4, if we were to write it as 2i instead, then your calculator actually can simplify that for us. And so you'll notice here we get 2/3 plus 1/3 I. Okay, so if you would like to use your calculator for all of your complex numbers, that is absolutely fine. The only thing is you are going to have to simplify the square roots of negatives into a complex number first prior to using your calculator. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this helped.